Because I always see this Creepshow television series as a continuation, I felt that right out of the gate it was really important to maintain some continuity. You know, as a fan, I love when I go see movies and there's some connection to the original film because I know that the filmmakers put it in there as a thank you. I really felt like I wanted to embrace the style that George and Steve had done in the original movie. So, John Harrison, who did the music and was the first AD on the original Creepshow. John was somebody that I wanted to have involved immediately.
Who's opening the coffin?
We're gonna throw some more worms on it.
do it, actually. I got involved in the whole process years ago when I was a friend of George Romero's. I got a call from his producer asking me if I would come out and be his assistant director on the original Creepshow. I had no idea how to be an assistant director, but George and I were friends, so it was essentially me just sitting there being his pal and helping him move the crew around and get the shots that we wanted. And while we were doing that, we would talk about music, what we wanted in the show, and we were originally going to use library tracks, but they didn't really quite work out, so I ended up scoring the movie. And then that led to the next movie, which was Day of the Dead. And at the same time, George had a television show called Tales from the Dark Side with his partner, Richard Rubenstein. And I wrote and directed those. And that led to doing the movie Tales from the Dark Side for Paramount. So I guess you'd say that I've been happily ensconced in the horror genre most of my career.
All right, get ready and action.
And then, of course, having Tom Savini. Because of Friday the 13th and Dawn of the Dead, of course, and The Burning and all those other movies that Tom had done, Tom became a rock star in the horror genre. And then Creepshow, he got to do more than just gore stuff.
Well, I did all the creatures and effects in it. The cockroaches that came out of E.G. Marshall, the Father's Day grave, Nate's corpse that came out of the ground, the fluffy crate creature under the steps, the Ted Danson and Galen Ross water-soaked zombies that come out of the water, and all the assorted frick-frack, you know, that was special makeup effects.
I've never met a guy who loves movies more than Tom and is passionate, and still to this day, and I don't know how the hell he does it. So for him to come in and direct an episode, I felt like it was the least that I could do for Tom, who had done so much for horror fans for decades and decades, and so much for me personally, because he was a guy who gave me my shot, man, and I worked on Day of the Dead with him, and I kind of went off and moved to LA and started K&B, and here I am.
I've known Greg since he was 14. He was my assistant on a couple of films. I said there's two words to describe everything you have, and it's just that you're good. Those are the two words, you're good, and he is good.
For me to be able to pay that back by giving him this opportunity to direct, and to direct a story written by Stephen King's son, who Tom took under his arm and let him hang out in the makeup effects trailer while he was working. And I really felt a tremendous sense of just everything being right in the world that I could do that for Tom.
Damn storm.
We can't even continue this conversation without talking about Adrienne Barbeau.
Go on.
I was fortunate enough to be asked by George Romero to do an episode of the original Creepshow, along with Hal Holbrook and Fritz Weaver. It's sort of the centerpiece of the 5 stories. Ours was called The Crate.
As soon as this came up, I thought, well, wait a minute. There's got to be a great part in here, because I really feel like, number one, she's an amazing actress. And number two, that would be a great opportunity to, again, pay tribute to her and to what George had done in the original Creepshow.
Now, I still have people, how many years is it later? Almost 40 years later, come up to me quoting lines, and just call me Billy. Everyone does. That was my character.
There's no point in going on about the past.
Better than the present.
Yeah, that's right.
What I'm excited about is not only being able to continue the legacy for the people that love Creepshow, but then introducing it to a new generation of people who love the genre as much as I loved the genre when I first saw Creepshow. So to me, having the opportunity to collaborate with people that were involved in the original show just puts it that much closer to it being as authentic as it needs to be.
One of the great things about this is that Greg is determined to honor the style and the character of the original movie. What we all loved about that original movie was that it had that comic book feel.
It is 12 instead of 5 from like the original movie, but it's still a comic book with pages turning and lights behind people.
I think it's really going to feel, if you drop into this and you were a fan of the original movie, you're going to say, yeah, man, it's the same thing. A little updated with the storytelling.
What's going on in here?
He's investigating.
Investigating what?
There's presence for them in the episodes. They're going to be looking for familiar stuff. So the ashtray that's in every episode of the movie is in every episode of this.
I didn't put you there. How did you get there?
I think it's going to be a hit. I mean, I think based on what I've read, if the rest of them are this good, I think there's going to be a lot of new fans and a lot of happy old fans.
It's me, my lover. Come to sing.
The DNA of Creepshow goes all the way back and is still carried on with the people that are involved in it now. It's going to have the same feel. You won't feel like, hey, this has nothing to do with the Creepshow I remember. It's going to feel that it does.